What if one of Hollywood's toughest guys, the man who was Kojak, held a secret vulnerability his entire life? Legend has it that in his golden years, Telly Savalas confessed that there was only one woman who could truly get to him, the only one who could do that to him, but he never said her name. Today we're opening the case files on the loves of his life to investigate the identity of this mystery woman and the profound secret he may have taken to his grave. He was the face of authority, a bald-headed titan of television with a lollipop in one hand and a 38 special in the other. Telly Savalas, born Aristoteles Savalas to Greek immigrant parents in Garden City, New York, was more than an actor. He was a cultural phenomenon. His iconic catchphrase, "Who loves you, baby?" became a global calling card, a perfect blend of streetwise swagger and paternalistic charm. He played hardened villains in films like The Dirty Dozen and the unforgettable James Bond nemesis Ernst Stavro Blofeld, roles that cemented his image as a man of unshakable confidence. But behind that tough guy facade, behind the tailored suits, and the ever-present cigar smoke lived a man of surprising sensitivity, a man who, after a lifetime of fame, fortune, and a string of passionate, often tumultuous relationships, was left with the memory of one singular woman, a woman who possessed a unique power over him, an ability to pierce his carefully constructed armor and touch his very soul. The rumored confession was made in the twilight of his life, a time when reflections often turned to what truly mattered. He was battling the prostate and bladder cancer that would ultimately claim his life, a fight he kept largely private. He died on January 22, 1994, just one day after his 72nd birthday. It was in this vulnerable state that he supposedly uttered those cryptic words. "She was the only one who could do that to me." What did he mean by that? Was it the power to make him feel completely seen? The power to hurt him? The power to make him surrender his closely guarded heart? The mystery has lingered for decades. To solve it, we must examine the four most significant women in his life. We'll journey through his marriages and his great love affairs, weighing the evidence, the passion, and the heartbreak. Somewhere in this labyrinth of love lies the answer. Who was she? Let's begin the investigation. Our investigation begins where so many love stories do, in the bloom of youth. Before the fame, before Kojak, Telly Savalas was a young man with a degree in psychology from Columbia University. It was there he met and married his college sweetheart, Catherine Nicolides, in 1948. That same year, Telly's father died of bladder cancer, a tragedy that bound their early life together. Catherine was there for the beginning of it all, not the Hollywood beginning, but the real-life beginning, the struggle. After serving in World War II, Savalas was trying to find his way, working for the U.S. State Department's Your Voice of America radio series before taking a job with ABC News. These weren't glamorous jobs, and Catherine was by his side for every uncertain step. In 1950, they welcomed their daughter, Christina. On the surface, it was the picture of a classic post-war American family, but the foundation of this picture was riddled with cracks. Savalas was ambitious, but he was also drowning in debt. The pressure mounted, and the man who would one day project such unshakable confidence was, in reality, facing constant financial frustration. Their marriage ended in 1957, and it wasn't a quiet parting. According to reports, Catherine filed for divorce after discovering Telly was fleeing from creditors. The story goes that she urged him to move back into his mother's house, a stark symbol of his failure to provide for his family. Their 9-year marriage was over. So could Catherine have been the one? The argument rests on the idea of a first, formative love, the kind whose ghost lingers in every relationship that follows. She knew him before the armor was forged. The pain of their breakup, rooted in his financial failures, could certainly have been a wound that never fully healed. A man like Savalas, who built an empire on an image of being in control, might forever be haunted by the memory of the woman who saw him when he had none. However, the evidence against it is compelling. The divorce was acrimonious, born of stress and what seems to be a fundamental disappointment. The phrase "do that to me" implies a power that is both rare and, perhaps, something he both feared and cherished. It suggests an emotional alchemy that goes beyond the common pain of a first divorce. The man Telly was thinking of at age 72 likely represented something more than the memory of youthful failure. And so our investigation must continue. After the collapse of his first marriage, Telly Savalas was adrift. He was broken back living with his mother. But Telly was a fighter. He poured what little he had into founding the Garden City Theater Center, and it was there, amidst the buzz of creative ambition, that he met Marilyn Gardner. Marilyn was a theater teacher who understood the world Telly was so desperate to conquer. They married in 1960, and this new chapter coincided with Savalas's improbable meteoric rise to fame. This wasn't a partnership forged in obscurity. This was a partnership that witnessed the birth of Telly Savalas, the star. Their marriage lasted 14 years, an eternity in Hollywood, and they had 2 daughters, Penelope and Candace. Marilyn was the woman by his side as he transitioned from a character actor to a household name. She was there when he landed his Oscar-nominated role in Birdman of Alcatraz in 1962. She was there when he was told to shave his head for the role of Pontius Pilate in The Greatest Story Ever Told, accidentally creating his signature look. As he later quipped, "Once I became bald, women seemed to find me more attractive." Marilyn was the anchor in this whirlwind of success, providing a stable home life while Telly built his career. Then, in 1973, came the role that would define him forever, Lieutenant Theo Kojak. The show was a colossal hit, turning Savalas into an international superstar. So, what's the case for Marilyn? This was his longest marriage, spanning the most transformative period of his life. With her, he wasn't the man sent home to his mother. He was a global icon. "Do that to me" could, in this context, refer to her ability to keep him grounded amidst the madness of fame. She was the mother of 2 of his children and the keeper of his home during his most successful years. That kind of shared history creates a powerful bond. But as our investigation deepens, a different story emerges. Their divorce in 1974 came right at the peak of his Kojak fame. The reason, it appears, was another woman. In 1969, while filming the James Bond movie On Her Majesty's Secret Service, Telly met a young actress named Sally Adams. This meeting marked the beginning of the end for his marriage to Marilyn. For years, he led a double life, torn between his family and his passionate affair. It's difficult to reconcile this betrayal with the idea that Marilyn held a uniquely cherished place in his heart decades later. The bond, while long and significant, was ultimately broken by Savalas himself in favor of another woman. This points us forward to the very woman who broke their marriage apart. Our investigation now arrives at its most dramatic chapter. If the first marriage was defined by struggle and the second by success, this relationship was defined by pure, unadulterated passion. The year was 1969. Telly Savalas was on the set of the James Bond film On Her Majesty's Secret Service playing the villainous Blofeld. It was here that he met Sally Adams, a young actress 24 years his junior, and the attraction was immediate and explosive. This was not a quiet romance. He was still married to Marilyn Gardner, but his encounter with Sally sparked a fire that couldn't be contained. Their relationship began as a secret affair but soon became his primary focus, with Savalas effectively choosing this new love over his family. Their time together was a whirlwind. They never legally married, but Sally went by the name Sally Savalas. In 1973, the same year Kojak premiered, Sally gave birth to their son, Nicolides Savalas. Telly also became a stepfather to Sally's young daughter from a previous relationship, who is widely reported to be the actress Nicolette Sheridan. For nearly a decade, Telly and Sally were a fixture in the glamorous world of international celebrity. He was the tough guy. She was the beautiful young woman on his arm. This relationship represented a different side of Savalas, the man who would risk everything for a woman. He once even described himself as a total slave to women. Could Sally Adams be the woman from the confession? The argument is incredibly strong. He left his wife and family for her, an act that speaks to a connection of immense power. "Do that to me" could easily refer to the power to inspire such a life-altering decision, to make him follow his heart, with reckless abandon. However, the fire that fueled their romance eventually turned destructive. They stopped living together around 1978, and the end was messy. In 1980, Sally Adams filed a multi-million-dollar palimony lawsuit against him. Palimony suits are by nature public and bitter, born from broken promises. The case was eventually settled out of court, but the damage was done. It's hard to imagine a man in his final days fondly singling out the woman who took him to court. A lawsuit reduces a relationship to a financial transaction. While the passion was undeniable, the ending was toxic. It lacked the sanctity implied by Telly's dying words. The fire had burned out, leaving behind ashes and legal documents. And so, our investigation must move on to the final woman in his life. The investigation now leads us to its final case file. The year is 1977. Kojak is in its last season, and Telly Savalas, now in his mid-50s, is a man who has lived a full life. He's been married and divorced twice and is fresh off the turbulent affair with Sally Adams. He was a bon vivant who famously lived in a suite at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Los Angeles, not a man looking to be tamed. And then he met Julie Hovland. She was not an actress or a model. She was a travel agent from Minnesota, 33 years his junior. Their meeting was pure Hollywood. He was in his usual haunt, the hotel bar, when he spotted her. He sent his brother over to ask if she would have a drink with Telly Savalas. Julie later recalled, "I thought, who is Telly Savalas? But when I saw him, I recognized him immediately." Despite the age gap, she was drawn to his charisma and aura of power. He was captivated. What followed was not a flash-in-the-pan affair, but a slow, steady courtship. They began dating in 1977 and married in 1984. This 7-year period suggests a relationship built on something deeper than infatuation. Many said Julie Hovland was the woman who finally tamed him, but perhaps a better word is centered. With Julie, the restless energy that had defined his romantic life seemed to find a peaceful harbor. She was an anchor in his chaotic celebrity world. In his 60s, Telly became a father again. Julie gave him 2 more children, a son, Christian, and a daughter, Ariana. This final chapter of fatherhood seemed to transform him. His youngest daughter, Ariana, remembers him as a doting father who wanted his family with him always. "He brought us everywhere," she recalled. "Places where kids were never allowed. My dad did not care at all. He always wanted us with him." This is a portrait of a man who found his greatest joy not in fame, but in family. And Julie was the architect of that family. Now, we must consider the confession. Telly made the statement. In his final years while battling prostate and bladder cancer, who was by his side during this incredibly vulnerable time? It was Julie. She was with him through the treatments, the hospital stays, and the quiet, difficult moments until the very end. His first 2 wives attended his funeral, but it was Julie who stood there as his widow. This is the most compelling evidence of all. A confession made by a man confronting his own mortality. What could that mean? It could mean she was the only one who could make him feel truly safe. The only one whose love was completely unconditional. She didn't fall for the star. She fell for the man in the hotel bar and stood by the man in the hospital bed. It could mean she was the only one who could make him surrender his ego, allowing the Romeo inside a gorilla exterior to give way to a devoted husband and father. The timing, the circumstances, and the nature of their relationship all point to one person. The college sweetheart represented youthful failure. The theater teacher represented success he betrayed. The actress represented a fire that burned out. But the travel agent from Minnesota represented peace, stability, and an enduring love that saw him through the final, most frightening chapter of his life. The investigation is complete. The evidence is overwhelming. The woman Telly Savalas was likely referring to, the only one who could truly get to the man behind the myth, was his 3rd and final wife, Julie Hovland. To simply identify Julie Hovland as the answer doesn't quite solve the mystery. The true heart of it lies not in the who, but in the what. What did Telly Savalas mean when he supposedly confessed, "She was the only one who could do that to me"? To understand that, we have to look at the man he was, and the man she allowed him to become. Telly Savalas spent a lifetime curating a persona of impenetrable toughness. He was the product of a Greek immigrant upbringing that valued strength, a decorated World War II veteran, and his career was built on playing men who were in control. He refused to show weakness even to those nearest to him. This is the context into which Julie Hovland walked. And her power, that which only she could do, was the power of disarmament. She possessed the unique ability to bypass the fortress he had spent a lifetime building and reach the vulnerable man inside. Think of the contrast. He was Hollywood royalty, living a life of excess in a hotel suite. She was a travel agent from Minnesota, grounded in a reality far from the glitz of Universal City. This difference was her superpower. She wasn't impressed by the fame. She was attracted to the man. For someone constantly surrounded by admirers, encountering a person with no agenda other than to connect is a profound experience. It allows for a level of trust that is otherwise impossible. That trust is likely the core of what he meant. She was the only one who could do that to me, could be his way of saying, she was the only one I could be completely vulnerable with. In his final years, as he battled a devastating illness he hid from the world, Julie was his sanctuary. She was the one person who saw the fear behind the brave face. To allow someone that level of intimacy, after a lifetime of projecting strength, is the ultimate act of surrender. That is a power no other woman had ever held. Her impact was transformative. The restless womanizer gave way to a devoted husband. The man with complex relationships with his older children found a new sense of purpose raising his youngest two. Julie didn't just get to him, she grounded him. She gave him the family life he seemed to have been searching for through all his years of turbulence. Finally, the confession carries a tone of gratitude and awe. At 72, looking back, he recognized the singularity of their bond. He had loved before, passionately and deeply, but with Julie it was different. It was a love that didn't demand he be the tough guy or the star. It was a love that simply demanded he be himself. She was the only one who could do that to me, was his final beautiful acknowledgement that in a life filled with extraordinary roles, his favorite was simply being loved by her. It was the ultimate, "Who loves you, baby?" a question he had asked the world a million times but found the truest answer to in the quiet, steadfast presence of his wife. What do you think of our investigation? Do you agree that Julie Hovland was the one Telly Savalas was talking about? Or do you have a different theory? Let us know in the comments below. And if you love uncovering the hidden stories of Hollywood's golden age, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a new investigation. The life of Telly Savalas was a study in contrasts. He was the tough guy with a heart of gold, the streetwise detective with a love for lollipops, the family man with a famously complicated love life. He projected an image of unshakable confidence, yet a story from his final days speaks of a secret vulnerability, a tribute to a singular woman who held a unique power over him. Our investigation into his past, from the struggles of his youth with Nicolides, through the successful but broken marriage to Marilyn Gardner, and past the fiery, conflicted affair with Sally Adams, reveals how each relationship shaped him. But the evidence, the timing of the rumored confession, the circumstances of his final years, and the profound peace he found late in life, points overwhelmingly to one conclusion. The woman who could do that to him was his final wife, Julie Hovland. She offered him not just love, but sanctuary. She saw past the iconic persona and connected with the man underneath. She stood by him in his most vulnerable moments, allowing the man who never showed weakness to finally lay down his armor. His cryptic confession, whether fact or legend, is the key to understanding the man behind the myth. It reveals that for all his fame, what he may have valued most at the end was the quiet power of a love that asked for nothing but his true self. It's a poignant final act in the story of Telly Savalas, a reminder that even Hollywood's toughest, Guys have a heart. And sometimes it takes a lifetime to find the one person who truly knows how to reach it. Who loves you, baby? For Telly Savalas, the answer, in the end, was beautifully and simply, Julie.